Good day, everyone. I am so excited to be here with my business partners, Faye, Laura, and Joan. And we have a special presentation today. Joan is our star guest today. Joan is a clinical lab researcher with over 40 years of experience. She lives in Prince George, British Columbia, up in Canada. And she is such a special person for our topic for today, osteoarthritis, because on top of the 40 years of research that she has done, she has had a particular interest in this condition because she herself has suffered it for a long, long, long time. And you'll hear her story towards the end, and it's going to blow your mind. But thank you, Joan, for taking time out of your busy day. We're excited to have your knowledge here to teach us a little bit about osteoarthritis. I know it is a very difficult condition. A lot of people suffer it, especially as we age. So tell us a little bit, what is osteoarthritis? How do we get to have it? How is it diagnosed? And so here you go.
Well, thank you, Liliane. It's a pleasure to be here today. My experience with osteoarthritis has been extensive, and I'll talk about it at the end. But osteoarthritis itself is a degenerative disease of the joints. It can happen to any joint in your body, and it's a result of massive inflammation of the joints, massive oxidative stress hitting that joint, and throughout the synovial fluid, the cartilage, the bone, the ligaments and tendons that hold the joints in place, and the muscles that surround, plus the fat tissue. So it's very, very extensive. The whole joint is involved, not just what was previously thought was loss of cartilage. As we age, it's always been thought of as a disease of the aged. It is true. By the time 50% of the world, they know by the time they're age 75 will have some form of osteoarthritis in a joint or two or more. So, and it's a very debilitating disease. So something that's really important, that a cure is found. There's no cure for it now, but there are ways to mitigate and manage this disease. So we'll talk a bit about that now.
So you mentioned something, because okay, we're all aging, but you mentioned something, oxidative stress, and I'm a little bit more familiar with this term now, but did you say that oxidative stress is one of the causes of osteoarthritis? Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Well, osteoarthritis is the result of a huge amount of inflammation. Now, inflammation is caused by oxidative stress in our bodies. And oxidative stress comes from all kinds of avenues towards us. It comes from our food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, 5G, the medications we take, everything around us. I mean, we just can't get away from all these toxins and things that are hitting our bodies day and night. It's just here, very harmful. Oxidative stress results in the body forming chronic inflammation, and that's the basis of diseases, of which 3/5 of the deaths in the world are caused by diseases that result from chronic inflammation. Now, diseases that you're familiar with are diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, strokes, pulmonary problems, COPD, all of that sort of thing. So it's a big problem for our whole society. We really need to have a look at how to bring those toxins down. I mean, there's worldwide efforts now. It's a little bit late, I think. I hope not, but let's work together in getting all that cleared up. But in the meantime, back to osteoarthritis. It's very debilitating. It affects 50% of the world's population by the time they're 50 or 80, 75 years of age, sorry. And there are ways to calm down. It's basically pain management that is the big issue right now with managing the joint pain that people get from this disease. It can be extremely painful and debilitating to the point where they're in wheelchairs. We've all seen it. Walkers,
Wow.
canes, can't work any longer.
So, oh my God, so you said 50% of the population by the time they're 75 will have some form of osteoarthritis, and you said 3/5 of the population of the world will die from diseases that have their root in massive oxidative stress that is left unchecked. And that's how it turns into massive inflammation and then disease. Is that correct?
Chronic inflammation is a good response. If you cut yourself, you're going to get a little inflamed, but it's that chronic inflammation, that constant barragement of toxins and all those things that cause chronic inflammation in our bodies, and it does cause over 200 serious diseases for us.
Wow. So going to the pain component of this condition, right? Because that's what's causing the debilitating issues that, just living with pain is just horrible. So what are the avenues that are right now available, most common available for people to mitigate that pain?
Doctors are commonly prescribing two drugs to work together: Tylenol, acetaminophen, and Cymbalta. And I just want to caution people that with osteoarthritis, or anybody that's prescribed drugs, to really have a close conversation with your doctor about side effects. Look it up on Google. Have an honest discussion. Cymbalta, I was on the drug myself. I know it does help with the pain, but it also has side effects, and my side effects were serious enough. My pain specialist had me come off it. It was a nightmare. And you can Google coming off of Cymbalta on the internet, and many people term it as going through absolute hell. So I would just suggest that you talk to your doctor about that. Any drugs that you're prescribed, it's worth the conversation, and also check it yourself on the internet, because you'll see what the side effects are, and you'll see how the different warnings and stuff like that. So pay attention to that. It's really important.
And
So
you recommend, you recommend Google Scholar, right? I've heard you say that before. There's a difference between Google and Google Scholar.
well, I heard this from a doctor one time. He says, anybody's crazy Uncle Bob can put anything on Google they want. You want the truth, you have to go, as a researcher, you have to go to Google Scholar. So just go onto Google, type in Google Scholar, and that site will come up, and you use that as your search engine, and you'll get the truth. Because for me personally, I only ever involve myself with learning the truth, not everybody's crazy Uncle Bob's opinion. It's really important when it comes to health, as we all know.
So are there other categories of pain management?
Yes, there are. You can anti-inflammatories are another route they go. Drugs like ibuprofen. Those two all have side effects, especially for the GI tract and your stomach, your health, your stomach lining. Discuss that with your doctor as well. I wouldn't recommend ibuprofen more than maybe 4 days, period, and then stop it. If you don't have enough pain relief, go back to your doctor and see what they can do about that. Or you can search for alternatives, of which we're going to talk about later, but there's lots of research in that field for alternative herbs, ancient Chinese herbs, ancient Indian herbs that have worked for millennia for joint health, for relieving this oxidative stress and the inflammation.
And what about, there's a lot of topicals that you hear advertised. Do those work? How do those work?
Topicals they do work, they help, especially when it's, you really need some relief right away. It can be things like, you can use patches. There's these new patches called Ice Wave patches. I'm just learning about them. There's heat patches. There's liniments and ointments you can put on your joints. Basically, what that does is it calms down the nerve endings so that you get a different perception of pain. So you can put menthol on your joints, for example, and you can start to feel the difference, but it's not taking the inflammation down. It's just changing the nerve endings so that your brain isn't getting that pain signal. It might get a cooling sensation, something different than the pain. So that's one way of managing the pain you're feeling.
And then we have, I've heard this a lot, people that they say, oh, my doctor's going to inject my knees. So can you explain a little bit what that is about?
Yes, for many years, cortisone was the injection of choice, but I've just read the latest research paper that came out not very long ago. And I do have a copy of that if you want to discuss it with your doctor. There's a lot of damage they've discovered now that happens as a result of cortisone injections to your joints. It's supposed to help. They put it in there to get rid of the inflammation, take that pain down. Inflammation causes the pain. But on the long run, it does harm your joints. And there's MRI proof on that. So if you have a choice between hyaluronic acid and cortisone, please choose hyaluronic acid. Discuss it with your physician. He may not have had the chance in this busy time of medicine to stay completely up to date with the latest stuff, but I have that paper if you're interested in taking a copy of it to your doctor.
Okay, so if anybody that's listening to this wants the information, get back with the person that invited you, and we'll certainly make that available through Joan. So thanks for that. And then, of course, the last, result, or I guess the last resource is surgery, right? And
Right, as you know, I've already said there's no cure for this disease. If you take care of your joints, as you progress through it, you'll be able to be disabled, less disabled as you move along, but eventually the joints do fail. They will fail depending on how severe your case is, how inflamed your joints are, how you take care of them. And it comes down to genetics as well. I mean, if you've had osteoarthritis in your family, there's a chance it could just progress. So when you get to the point of having to use a cane, a walker, a wheelchair, that's the time to really consider discussing joint replacement with your doctor, or he might already have approached you with that. And it's wonderful that we have a choice this day and age, so that if you do choose that, I had no choice. I mean, I had no life. And so having both hips replaced, I know it's not an easy set of circumstances to be in, but it's well worth it. For 2 weeks after, you just wonder, why did I do this? But believe me, have faith. Within 6 weeks, you're going to be glad that you went through all that just to get rid of that excruciating bone-on-bone pain.
So I want you to talk a little bit about your story, because what to me is so valuable about this information is not only that Joan has put hours upon hours of research with her knowledge, so that we don't have to do it. So I really appreciate that, you pointing me right to the study that I need, and not sift through all that scientific jargon. But you yourself have been a sufferer with this condition for a long time, and you're going to hear, I've heard Joan's story, and every time I hear it, I go like, oh my God. So I think your point of view is so valuable from someone that understands the science and has done so much research. And I know you're still doing some trials together with your doctor, but also someone that can be in the shoes of a person that is desperate, with this, it's really crippling pain. So tell us your story, Joan.
Well, my story started at when I was 18 years of age. I was in a very serious car accident with head injury, and a big impact on my head, and that affected my neck. I have probably not had a day up until recently of my whole life where I haven't had neck pain the whole time. And then fast forward another 40 years and another serious car accident, none of which of these were my fault. A broken neck, had to have both hips replaced as a result of the accident, vitreous detachment of both eyes. All my toenails fell off. It was a rear end collision. Bodies can't take that kind of hit from any kind of trauma. And so the osteoarthritis set into a lot of joints in my body, most of all in my hips. And over the years ensuing after that accident, I was given many pain medications, nerve pain drugs, OxyContin, all kinds of things that were harming to me. I didn't work well with those drugs. I just didn't, and my pain specialist took me off. And I got to the point where I was alone in my country home, my dream home. My husband had passed, by myself, and I literally couldn't walk. I spent a whole winter. The only way I could move was to bend right over with my nose to my knees and shuffle forward. And I had to fill up my fireplace with wood with doing that sort of thing. And all kinds of things happened as a result of that. But anyway, it was tough. It was really tough. And I was bedridden most of the time. And the phone rang one day, and it was a person I hadn't heard from in a long while. And she asked me how I was doing. And I told her I was in bed. I could hardly move. And she told me about this formulation. And she said, "You're a researcher, look it up on PubMed.gov." So I was in bed with my iPad, and what else did I have to do? So I did. I spent hours upon hours upon hours, like there's hundreds of thousands of papers with this new research about this thing I'd never even heard of. And I was so impressed when I decided to try it myself. Two of the products that this company sold, I tried because I knew both of them is what I really needed. And I'll have to be honest, within 2 weeks, I was out of bed, and I was actually able to help my housekeeper with cleaning my 5-bedroom country home. It was unbelievable. The pain subsided. I was able to garden and get back into my life with my friends and have my dinner parties I like to do all the time with friends, and have my family for a great big reunion. I mean, my life had completely done a 360 turnaround. It was wonderful, and it is wonderful. So.
And look at you now. And now you're sharing this wealth of information. This is what we do. We call ourselves hope brokers. We want to bring hope to people that there are alternatives. And that is going to be the topic for our part 2 of this presentation. We wanted to keep it short to be respectful of people's time, but don't miss it, because Joan has a fabulous protocol, and you know that you can trust her because she is using it herself. So the proof is in the pudding. And look at this gorgeous lady. How old are you now, Joan, if you don't mind saying?
I don't mind. I'm 76. My granddaughter's a nurse, and she said, "Grandma, look at you." She
Look
said,
at
"There isn't
you.
anybody I've ever seen at your age that could do what you're doing." I'm taking off to Mexico in 2 weeks, and I run a clinic down there for a free clinic for the poor. I mean, I have so much energy and spunk that I feel unstoppable.
Yes, we are. And this is what we do. So Faye, Laura, and Joan, we're in this same boat of getting this information out. We're passionate about it. We're excited about it. We want to help as many people as possible. So we hope this information has been helpful. And please get back to the person that shared this presentation with you. We're going to be recording our part 2 pretty soon and have it available. And if you want the study that Joan mentioned, please get back to whomever invited you and get all your questions asked. And what we have for part 2 is going to blow your mind, because Joan is going to take us step by step on what she was talking about, inflammation and this new technology that can help with oxidative stress and inflammation. It is just fascinating. So thank you, Faye and Laura, for your support there in the background. I know you're excited to get this to your people as well. And thank you, Joan, for your time and your expertise. We really appreciate it to put it in such simple and great explanation. And we will be together pretty soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.